Çağatay Ulusoy's latest remarks flipped the script on everything we thought we knew about his guarded heart. "I feel at ease when she's there," he hinted, and those few words sent waves across timelines and group chats in minutes. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Before we dive into every shock, whisper, and hidden detail, hit subscribe and support the channel. You won't want to miss what comes next. In the churn of celebrity talk, a single sentence can redraw a reputation. This time, it was a cascade of confessions, and all roads led to Hazal. For years, Çağatay kept his romantic life sealed tight, steering interviews back to roles, scripts, and discipline. He sidestepped speculation with the grace of someone trained in the art of silence. But this time felt different. He loosened the armor, and not with a cryptic hint, he spoke plainly, almost tenderly. "I'm someone who cherishes authenticity," he said first, and that small doorway opened into an entire room of truth. The real jolt followed. He spoke of Hazal with a softness that didn't sound rehearsed, describing the youthful brightness in her face, the almost childlike glow that disarmed him from the very start. What did he mean by that? Was he tossing a cliché to hungry headlines, or revealing a piece of himself we've never seen? The phrase hits the tabloids often, yet in his mouth it landed differently. Because as he continued, the picture sharpened. It wasn't only looks that pulled him closer. He explained how conversation flowed, how hours passed without them noticing, how it felt easy to let his guard down. That's when it became clear, he wasn't only describing attraction, he was describing safety, a sense of home. Then came the lines that made insiders lean forward. "We can talk about everything," he said, rolling back the curtain on a kind of intimacy that can't be staged. "I'm completely relaxed with her." And the biggest clue, their feelings didn't spark under the glare of a set spotlights, they formed later, after the final take, once the rush quieted and they could actually meet as people. He didn't parade this as a grand gesture. He just said it. Carefully, calmly. And in that calm, another story emerged, one about timing, trust, and deliberate choices. Tonight we're opening every drawer of this moment. Why now, after years of keeping the door shut? What sets Hazal aside from every rumor, every name that came and went? Is this built to last, or just one of those charming chapters that fade by summer? And what of the unspoken, the industry whispers, the friends who saw it forming, the rules they set at the start? Stay with Turkish Spotlight Secrets, because this is the confession that won't stop echoing. "I like things unfiltered," he said, and the entertainment world paused. The actor who used to treat personal questions like landmines took a different route. He didn't grandstand or play coy. He simply framed how he views love, simple, real, unpolished. That first sentence cracked the shell, but what followed showed depth. Talking about Hazal's innocent brightness didn't come off as a tired trope. It felt like he was trying to capture something gentle and rare, a lightness that can't be faked, the kind that makes everything else easier. Yet beauty was only the doorway. The room beyond it was conversation. Insiders say they drifted into deep talks between scenes, not loud, dramatic exchanges, but steady ones about craft, novels, music, even the quiet routines of their daily lives. For an actor famously protective of his inner world, that alone felt seismic. He wasn't posturing. He sounded like a man whose shoulders dropped when a certain person walked into the room. And this one line traveled fastest: "I feel comfortable with her." Translate that from celebrity speak, and you get a single word: trust. He added that the closeness came naturally and gradually, turning into something more only when it felt right. No calculated stunts. No borrowed attention. This wasn't a whirlwind invented to fill headlines. It was something built in small steps, the kind that never make it onto gossip pages because they happen when nobody's looking. Let's talk about the project that brought them to the same orbit. Everyone knows on-set sparks can illuminate and burn out in the same instant. But in their case, distance was the rule. Professional focus first, warmth second. After the wrap, they stayed in touch. A coffee became a walk. A walk became hours of talk. The friend stage stretched, deepened, then shifted into something neither could pretend away. He described it perfectly without theatrics. They chose a relationship only after they got to know each other for real. Among gossip watchers, that sounded like a manifesto. Slow, careful, no smoke and mirrors. In a world obsessed with speed and spectacle, he placed patience at the center. Suddenly, the narrative around him changed shape. This wasn't the guarded star dodging cameras at side doors. This was a man willing to claim what he feels, carefully but clearly. It positioned him differently, stronger, steadier, more accountable. So why open up now? Everyone's asking. People close to the situation point to two reasons. First, there's nothing left to hide, not if you're seeing them around the same corners, not if friends already know. Second, respect. Respect for Hazal Kaya, for her name, for her space. Talking this openly isn't just about owning a romance. It's about stepping forward publicly so she doesn't have to carry the weight of rumors alone. It's a gesture that says, I'm here too. There's another layer, the silence on social media. Don't expect couple selfies, choreographed captions, or coordinated hints. They're staying old school in a new world. No posts, no public declarations and photos. Yet the energy doesn't read as cold. If anything, it reads as grown. The feelings exist in the room, in the words, in trusted circles. For longtime viewers of this industry, that restraint tells its own story. Now let's talk about Hazal's stance, one that has everyone intrigued. She's not filling the air with interviews or weaving her own narrative. She keeps her profile balanced and composed, protecting the parts of life that don't belong to the spotlight. That calm is magnetic. It's also a contrast to some of the noise that once surrounded his name. If he's the one who used to sprint past speculation, she's the one who turns the temperature down by simply refusing to play the game. So, is the old Kagate gone? The answer you'll hear in backstage corridors is yes, but the change doesn't smell like strategy. It feels lived in. The vocabulary he's using, ease, honesty, clarity, slow, belongs to someone who isn't performing romance, he's participating in it. People who study this stuff are calling it a quiet evolution. Less running, more staying put. Less coded answers, more gentle admissions. Where does the road lead? It's early to throw rice and ring bells, and he isn't tossing promises around. But the seriousness is unmistakable. Saying they began only after truly meeting leaves the window open without forcing a view. If you ask insiders, they'll tell you this rhythm, deliberate, steady, tends to last. Not because of destiny, but because both chose to build a foundation before they named it. What makes this so compelling isn't the volume. It's the restraint. One low-key conversation changed the entire temperature of the story. A few soft sentences, and suddenly we're seeing a man who's not hiding behind characters or schedules. He's visible, not just as a lead on posters, but as a person who has decided to share the most protected part of his life, with care, but without fear. And what about the skeptics? They'll say any confession can be a headline strategy, that every timing has a motive. But look closer at how he spoke. There was no attempt to dazzle. He wasn't selling a fantasy. He was describing simple things, comfort, openness, the way laughter lingers after a conversation ends. If that's spin, it's the most ordinary spin in the world, and maybe that's the point. Ordinary is rare in this business. He also drew a line very clearly. This wasn't born on set as a fleeting thrill. It arrived later, without cameras, after the noise died down. That detail matters. It tells you their story wasn't written by circumstance, it was authored by choice. You can feel the boundary work in his wording, how they took time, protected their pace, and made room for feelings to arrive without pressure. Think about how often we've seen the opposite, fireworks, then ashes. Here we're watching a quiet flame that keeps its shape. No rush. No grandstanding. Just the slow reveal of closeness. And when he says he's fully himself with Hazal Kaya, that he doesn't have to tuck parts away or edit his thoughts, it's hard not to see a man finally comfortable in his own narrative. This isn't just a new chapter for him, it's a shift in tone. He's not apologizing for feeling deeply, and he's not acting like emotion is a liability. That confidence changes how the public views him. The distance that once felt icy now reads as thoughtful. The caution that seemed standoffish now looks like self-respect. And in this new light, Hazal's steady presence makes complete sense. So we circle back to the first questions. Why speak now? Because timing matters, and because the person beside him deserves clarity. What sets Hazal apart? A rare mix of warmth and discipline, the sparkle that catches your eye and the serenity that keeps you grounded. Is it lasting? The signs point to something with staying power, not because it's flawless, but because it's real, and real has a way of surviving the swings. In the end, this is the shape of the story, a connection that started quietly and grew roots before it sprouted leaves. One candid conversation, a handful of unguarded phrases, and an entire audience seeing a familiar face in a new frame. He's not hiding anymore, not from cameras, not from feeling, and not from the responsibility that comes with saying it aloud. She remains measured and silent, which, somehow, speaks the loudest of all. Tell us where you think this goes. Are these careful words the first notes of a lifelong promise, or the music of a peaceful moment he's finally allowing himself to enjoy? Drop your thoughts below. Do you believe Hazal Kaya is the one who truly matches him, rhythm for rhythm? Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the pulse of this world never slows. We'll be back with every new hint, every quiet revelation, right here on Turkish Spotlight Secrets. See you in the next video, and Happy New Year!